Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me here on your show, Gertrude. My name is Lara Gelya, and I am the author of my memoir, Camel from Kazilkum, which I wrote during pandemic time. In my memoir, I'm reflecting on my life from my birth in Ukraine, then traveling for my work to Kazilkum Desert of Uzbekistan, and then finding my way to freedom and relocating as a refugee to United States of America. Before I left Soviet Union and began my refugee journey in search of a better life, I had already been through a lot. A life-threatening health problem, a dramatic divorce, 20 years of survival in Kazilkum Desert, and losing my home to an earthquake. These experiences shaped me into a resilient person. However, my refugee journey taught me how to be persistent in reaching my goals despite the challenges or delays in achieving successes.
So your journey from Ukraine to the United States as a refugee is a pivotal part of your life. How did your experience shape your understanding of resilience and of perseverance?
As I said, when I was in Soviet Union, before I even began my journey as a refugee, I already went through a lot. I had a life-threatening health problem, a dramatic divorce, a 20 years survival in the Kazilkum Desert. I lost my home to the earthquake. So I already, it shaped me into a resilient person before my journey as a refugee. When I started my refugee journey, it taught me how to be persistent in reaching my goals. Success not all the time came immediately. I had to work on it.
It sounds like you went through a lot, and what happened before you left home prepared you for your life going forwards.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that March 15, 1990 divides your life into two phases. How do you view your life before and after that date? And what are some of the major turning points?
The turning point was realizing my freedom. A freedom, it's a feeling of no shame or guilt. It's feeling of being able to exist as I am, who I am, and as I am, and be accepted for who I am. And It is absolutely wonderful feeling, which I did not have when I lived in Soviet Union.
So that was really the pivotal turning point for you feeling like a free person, a liberated human being.
Yes.
Now, as a refugee adapting to a new culture while learning English, what were the biggest challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
When you arrive in a new country with nothing and without knowing the language, every step in starting over is a challenge. Even simple things like going to the store, answering the phone, learning to drive, learning to speak, read, and write, adapting to a new culture, finding friends, and finding a job. Everything was a challenge. Everything.
You know, we take some of these things for granted when you're able to speak a language and to live in a specific country. You don't really realize the challenges that new immigrants face. So, your memoir, Camel of Kazilkum, delves into the life under the Soviet rule. What misconceptions do you think people have about life in the Soviet Union? And how did your personal experience differ from common narratives?
I think one of the misconceptions was that people in Soviet Union were educated, not well educated, less educated than in the West.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, it was not true because the Soviet Union had Europe's highest literacy rates. It was because it has education was free and mandatory in the Soviet Union. Homeschooling was not allowed there, and so all children learn to read and write regardless monetary status. So it was one of misconceptions that I know.
Okay. So your career as a programmer and analyst spanned nearly 2 decades at EMMES Corporation. What were some of the most significant technological changes or advances that you've witnessed during that time? And how did you adapt to them?
EMIS is a Hebrew word for truth. EMIS Corporation was and still company that provides clinical research, biostatistical services, and professional support for successful clinical research around the world. When I was hired in the summer of 1998, it was a small company with less than 100 employees. The company grew to be dedicated to advancing public health in my time. When I retired, it was a company with around 800 people.
Wow. Wow. Now, how has a woman in technology influenced your career path? How has being a woman in technology influenced your career path, especially during an era where the tech industry was even more male dominated?
Being a woman in IT industry comes with many challenges, including pay gaps, workplace gender bias, and unequal growth opportunities. However, as a woman in technology, I have the chance to work on exciting projects, and I gain valuable learning experiences, and they have shaped my professional and personal life.
Fantastic. So you would have seen the technology leapfrog from decade to decade.
Yes.
Now, you reflect deeply on your personal and spiritual journey in your memoir. How did COVID-19 pandemic impact your perspective on life and inspire you to share your story with the world?
Well, when COVID-19 pandemic forced us to stay at home, I had a lot of time to reflect on my life and decided that I needed to put it in writing to document the history of my time, events, and everything I experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to write about my untold story within me. And I wanted to write it to open people's eyes to a new world that might be outside of their own.
It's wonderful. Now, your story is one of overcoming great adversity. What advice do you have for others facing similarly insurmountable challenges in their own lives? You know, right now, Ukraine is going through another war with Russia. There might be somebody from Ukraine who's listening to us right now. What advice would you give?
I have only one piece of advice: never give up and believe in yourself.
I love that. In your memoir, you explore themes of endurance and hope. What practices or philosophies have you leaned on to maintain these qualities throughout your life?
I learned that we endure because we are inspired by the hope and faith inside of us. Our afflictions produce endurance. Endurance produces proven character, and proven character produces hope. Let your hopes, not hurts, shape your future.
That's very, very good advice. Now, as somebody who's experienced both the Soviet Union and the United States, how do you view the concept of freedom and self-determination? And how has this shaped your outlook on life and your personal achievements?
Self-determination is the power or ability to make a decision for oneself without influence from outside. Freedom is essential to exercise one's autonomy and make choices. Both freedom and self-determination directly impact the quality of life. I know I lived an American dream because of these principles. In the Soviet Union, it would have been impossible to start over from nothing at the age of 40 and build a successful life.
Tell me something about your family back home before you left. Did you come out alone? Did you have children? Did you leave your loved ones behind? Let's go a little bit into your family.
I came alone. I left behind my daughter because she could not live with me. But then, after 3 years fighting for her, I brought her to America. I was born in Ukraine to a Jewish family, and it was very difficult to be a Jewish in the Soviet Union because it was an anti-Semitism coming from the government. So all my life there, I was suffering from my childhood. I feel that I am different from other Even we did not, at my time, people did not practice any religion in Soviet Union. Religion was not encouraged at that time. So I played with children like everybody else. I was going to the same school, but I always felt the stigma about me. Something is different about me. I could not understand what was it. And then I moved to Uzbekistan to work in the Kazilkum Desert. I was working in geological expedition, and people there were discriminating more against Uzbek people. But still, when they got to know that I'm a Jew, so I was not accepted like everybody else. So it's still discrimination too. And only when I came to America, I understood what it's truly to be a Jewish person. So that's why freedom, this realization of freedom in America was very important for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be crucial.
Now,
when we were talking before the interview yesterday, I said that I really admire the fact that you found love again. And, you've been married for over 25 years. How did that happen? Tell us about your love story, because this is what women, especially women like me who are looking for love, would love to hear. How did you meet your second husband, and how have you kept that relationship going for so many years?
So when I came to United States, I came in Buffalo, New York. And then when I got my first professional job as programmer analyst with MS Corporation, I moved from Buffalo to Maryland. And I was working, I started my work, but after work, I would come home and I felt very lonely. And one day I browsed on internet and I stumbled upon somebody's ad online. The person, it seems to me that his explanation of himself was very sincere. He was a widower for 3 years. So I replied to this ad, and we started to communicate back and forth, until we finally met face to face, and it was a history. We never been apart since then. So we got married, and I moved to Virginia, where this person lived, and that's the history.
You've been together for so long.
Yes.
And so internet dating does work. So I've just started internet dating and I hate it. But
well, it probably was a very rare case.
Yes.
I think this happy ending.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now, if you could go back, let's say we have a bit of a time experiment. If you could go back in time to go and give that young woman, that young girl advice about life. You went through a lot in your life. You went through religious persecution. You went through war. You went through immigrating to a foreign country, not knowing the language. You've gone through a lot in your life. But if you could go back and give that younger woman 3 nuggets of wisdom, based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be about life?
enjoy every moment of your life, believe in yourself, work hard to, for your successes.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, sometimes it's not easy to believe in yourself when you're in the middle of all of the turmoil and the experiences that you have. So in the US, you are able to practice as a Jewish person. You're able to practice your faith without any persecution, correct?
Uh, Not really. I did not, and I don't practice real religion because that's
Mhm.
how I was brought up without religion. But I
Okay.
respect it, and I know what is it to be Jewish. I know what is it to be Muslim. I respect all religious people and all religions. But by myself, I have my truth inside my face inside of me.
Yes. Your faith is really grounded by the sound of it,
Yes,
and it has carried you through so many things.
it did.
Now, which languages did you program in? I'm also a first generation coder. My very first job was as a COBOL programmer. So I programmed in COBOL, Fortran, Pascal, and BASIC. So I'm curious to know, what were your programming languages?
Well, when I started, it was as primitive as Fox Pro language.
Right.
And then evolved. It was, uh, when I ended, it was Java and JavaScript.
Okay. Fascinating. And it's interesting to see where technology has gone now, right?
Yes,
Things have evolved and changed so much. A
it,
lot of programmers actually don't even see the code itself because of the GUI interfaces.
right. You can just put blocks together and everything is ready.
Yes, yes. Yet back in the day, you had to know how to open a file, how to close it. I remember the first program I wrote, I put a full stop in the wrong place and it crashed the whole mainframe. Or I forgot to put a full stop, so my program was looping.
Yes.
Technology has certainly evolved. So, what are some of the other things that you do for recreation, for sports? What do you do in your spare time now besides the writing of books?
Well, first of all, we travel a lot. We travel all over the world. Second, when we come home, I like to put my videos together about places we travel, and then I put them on YouTube. And also I put on Facebook, on Instagram, and all this.
Okay.
Secondly, I go to the gym every single morning for 1.5 hours. Then we have beaches around us, Florida, beautiful weather, whole year around. And of course, we like to go to theaters, watch a movie at home,
Yes.
meet up with friends for holidays, family coming here. We go to cruises. Life is good.
So, what countries have you not visited? What is the next thing on your bucket list?
Aus- Af- uh, Australia, we have not.
You haven't come to Australia yet.
Not yet.
Okay. That's why you met me, so that when you're ready to come, you know you have a friend in Australia.
It's getting difficult for long flights
Yeah, yeah, and we are
to,
very
to
far.
endure them. but we right, but we went to China, 14 hours flight. We
Okay.
survived.
Well, if you fly to Los Angeles, Australia is only 13 hours, so
I know
you should come and visit Australia. It's a beautiful country.
we want to, we would like to, yes. And Africa too.
So you haven't been to Africa?
No, we have not yet.
Okay. Well, I am
In
from
yeah,
Zimbabwe. I'm from the south. I'm from Zimbabwe, the best part of Africa.
in
Oh,
fact, it was scheduled. And COVID came, so we had to cancel it.
so you were planning to go to Africa or Australia?
Oh, Africa.
Okay.
Hmm.
And then when COVID happened, you had to put it off.
Yeah, we could not go.
Right. And what was the impact of COVID for you there?
We personally, our family, we did not get the COVID, but
Okay.
people around us, of course,
Yeah.
did. And it was terrible time to see, and terrible time to see how our government was handling it
Responding, yes.
during this time. So yes,
Quite a few people died unnecessarily because of the protocols that governments were taking
I think million people in the United
in the
States.
United States.
Yes,
Very, very sad.
it is sad.
Now, with the last question I'm going to ask you, again, is going to be a time experiment. This time I'm going to teleport you into the future, and we're going to go and meet the 100-year-old you. You're 100 years old, and you're sitting on your porch surrounded by your children, your grandchildren, your husband. If you could go and have a conversation with this wise woman, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? This is the wise woman who's been guiding you all your life to get you to the age of 100. If you could go and sit with her right now and talk to her, what will you say to her when you finally meet her?
I would say you did a good job. Thank you, then you bring me to 100.
I love it. And you know why I like to ask that question, Lara?
Why?
Because a lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already inside them. We look outside of ourselves for answers, but the answers are within. So I play a game when I am struggling with something, I'm trying to find answers. I go to sleep with a question in my head. And sometimes the question is, what is the next step? What am I supposed to do now? And I will wake up in the morning, I'm in the shower, and I get these light bulb inspirational insights. You know, what's the next thing I have to do? Or I will bump into someone, I tell them what I'm doing, what I'm working on, and then that person says something and the answer is in that person. But I play with the energy of who I am becoming. And I let her guide me in this life, because we do have all of the answers to every challenge that we will go through in life. But sometimes as women, we forget.
Yes, it's true.
So I thank you for listening to your promptings, to listening to the wise woman inside you who has helped you create an amazing life. It's a truly inspiring story. So where can people buy your book, Lara?
It's available on my website, which is laragelya.com. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, and basically in many other outlets for books. So just they need to browse Lara Gelya. Oh, that's right.
.com. That's correct,
LaraGelya.com.
right?
That's correct. Or
Okay,
Camel from Kazilkum, and they will find it.
fantastic. Thank you so much, Lara. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Good luck with launching your book and getting it out into the world. And I would love to stay in touch with you and find out how things go in a year or 2 years' time. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me here. It was a
And thank
pleasure.
you. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is a social impact movement. We bring you the stories and voices of women from all over the world to uplift you, inspire you, energize you, but most importantly, to take you from where you are now to where you want to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. And thanks again, Lara.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep